Hi everyone, it's Tanya with Riley & Company. I am here today with another video in the Coloring with Tanya video series. I am going to show you how to color our very first sets. The whole dress up set started with this one. Hang on and I will show you. You're going to love it. This is our very first basic accessory set. We started with one Riley the Moose, and we wanted to use him as a little dress up, like a paper doll, and this was the first set we started with. You've got hats, you've got ties, you've got glasses, all kinds of fun stuff. Let's get started. This is a super easy one to do. I'm going to start off with a couple E colors. We're going to do the hats. This is E30. All right, just going to put that right there and write it down. And I'm going to color both of the cowboy hats with this. I'm just going to go around the outside of each one, just like that. And I'm going to make his band a different color, so I don't want to color it in. Now, when I have it outlined like this, instead of going up and down and color it in, I use circles like this. Because these are alcohol markers that I use. I use Copics. And alcohol on top of alcohol blends very well. So if you do this, it can leave marks. If you do this, it doesn't. So much easier. A little tip for you. So let's go ahead and do this hat, but not the band. And now I'm going to show you how to shade with the same marker. So a lot of times with Copic markers, you can put one layer down, and then if you go over it again, it'll give you a different shade of the same color. It's fabulous to shade with. So in this case, our shading is going to be on the inside here, maybe a little bit up here along the band, and some down here. And on this hat, we're going to do the shading from the back and down along the fronts. And we'll leave just the top part up there a little lighter. Now I'm going to grab an E31, which is really close. And I'm just going to do some very simple shading with it. I'm going to use it very lightly along that edge, down along in here. And along the back here. On your darker shading colors, you want to see it as a shade, but you don't want to see it as a color. So you just have to be really careful. There's going to be some back in there, of course, and along there, and along there, along that, just to make the point of that being a little hat. That's pretty dang awesome, right? Doesn't take too much. And I'm just going to grab, I think, a BG49. We'll do a little teal. So we're going to do a little teal band here. And we're going to do a little teal band there. Yeah. And underneath this little guy, there's another little band, so I think we'll just take an E17 and we'll just color him in. And we have two hats done already. There's that. And this color. And our E31. Oh. Now on this little hats, all I'm going to do is use a B93. That's my favorite little dusty colors. for winter time. It's like a blue-gray. Now on this one, I'm just going to use the little stripes. I'm going to come in and every other stripe. Now I'm going to go ahead and use the same marker to shade with. So I'm going to come back along this line. Just back up in there. And then I'm just going to do the bottoms of these little lines on the second time. And there's a hat for us. So that was B93. A lot of times when I work on a sheet like this, I'll do all my light colors at the same time. So I'll look around and go, okay, what else can I do? I think I'll do his tie in the same color. And I do all the same colors at one time. So that's R for Riley. Now the great thing about this set is that it doesn't have to be used. This can be used on a lot of different animals, a lot of different people. Try it on some of the stamps that you have. You know, cut one out and put it on there, see if it looks great. So on this, I'm going to go ahead and shade just the bottom parts over here. And we're done with that. Now let's make our bow ties yellow. So Y18 is one of my favorite colors. It's very easy to blend with and it's very easy to add to. So I am just going to color this whole bow tie in with this color. Now this is assuming that I'm stamping in black, right? You can stamp this little thing or this little bow tie in all red and have a red and white bow tie and not even have to color it. So that bow tie we're going to do in yellow. Let's do this bow tie in yellow. And let's do the birthday hat in yellow. Because all birthday hats should be bright yellow. Now my favorite color to shade with, I'm going to use the same pen and just come out from the center on this. I want a little deeper shading than this one actually gives me. So I'm going to pull out my second favorite yellow, which is a Y38. And that is the color of that yellow. It's almost kind of an orange, but it's really not. So I'm going to bring some of that out from the center of this bow tie and just along the bottom edge. Do the same with this. And then just along, this is tilted, so I'm going to do some of this color just along this edge. Not over the whole thing, just half of it. See that? And if I use it again, it'll give me a little even dark. Now I'm not doing the little top of the bow, just the back sides. Now if you can see this, that was Y38. If you can see this, I kind of got outside the line there. Can you guys see that? I'm going to use what I call a magic eraser. Copic tends to call it their colorless blender, but I think magic eraser is much better. So I'm going to come back here. And if you just go along this line, do not know why, come on and focus for me. There we go. If you just put a little of this, there's no color to this. If you put it right along that line and go over it and then just kind of like you're pushing the color back into where it's supposed to be. Look at that. Completely erases. Yes. So much fun. I call it a magic eraser. You can get them on our website, RileyandCompanyOnline.com. Okay. I love my colorless blender. Such a great tool. Now let's go on to our next color, which we're going to do some bright pink. Let's do an RV06. How's that sound? So I do believe, let's make these little sunglasses bright pink, because every girl everywhere should have bright pink sunglasses. All right, and we'll make a tie. Let's do one pink tie. Now in our dress up series, we have to date 6 basic dress up sets, which are, if you think about it, if you compare it to dress up paper dolls a long time ago, it's kind of the same thing. We have a bunch of accessory sets that go with them, only way cuter animals. So I'm going to use the same pen, and I'm going to come along and just shade it. Isn't that fun how that works? And I do believe we're going to do a little pink puff ball on the set. And I want to make the edge pink too. So let's, in every color that I use, I'm just going to go ahead and add a little dot on there. Yeah, I'm going to do this puff ball pink too. Oh, there we go. So we'll do a little bit of shadow on that. For the dress up sets that we have a cow and a moose, Riley, of course, right? And a little baby possum named Penny. And we have a raccoon and a fox and a giraffe. I think that's all. And a bunny. And a bunny. And more to come, trust me. So there's RV06. Now let's tackle these hats. I love working with grays because the hat is actually black. Okay, we want to make it look like a black hat, but we're not going to color it with all black. So shading with grays is a whole lot of fun. So let's start with, I just need to find my C3. Okay, C3 is the first color that we're going to lay down on these hats. And I'm just going to go around the whole thing because the band's going to be black as well. So we don't have to worry about that. And then I'm just going to use little circles and color it all in and make sure we have a nice blended surface to start our black shading with. And I'm going to do the same with this little guy. I'm going to come back and just go over it again, make sure I have a really good saturation on this. Now I'm going to pretend that my light is coming from here. So I'm going to take a C5 and I'm going to start at this end and I'm just going to pull color in from that side and down in here. Now a lot of times when you shade with darker colors, the first color you start with, there won't be much of it left to see. It's basically just to do your lightest colors, the lightest shade. So see, in this case, there's very little of that C3 that we started with. Now that was C5, and this is C3. And we're going to do the same thing with this. This time we're going to pretend that the light is coming from this angle. So that means that everything back here is going to be dark, and the only thing that's really going to be light is just this part right here. And just the front of the brim. And that's going to be darker, so we don't have to worry about that. So we're going to get it nice and dark underneath that brim. And then use the same marker to throw in some more shading on the top and in the back. going to come back to this guy and get me another shade of the same marker, right? There we go. So that's our C5. Now, let's come in with a C6. That's going to be our final shading color, and we're going to use it very sparingly. And we're just going to pull a little bit of it out. We're going to do that here, and just along the base, and just here in the back, and back there, just along here. Now, C6. And now I'm going to use my C8. Now, C8 and C9 are very, very dark colors. They are almost black without being black, as harsh as black. So I'm going to use my C8 instead of black because black is very opaque. So I want to use my C8 instead. It's a little fedora. And there we have it. We're done. And that's our C8. Now on this guy, I'm gonna make me a little bow tie that's gonna match my hats. So let's take a C3. Let's use our lightest color and come in. Do that. And then I am going to take my very darkest color, and I'm just going to make me some stripes. Now you have to be very careful, of course. Like I am barely touching my paper. Like I can't feel touching my paper, but I can see it. And there's our bow tie. Now let's move on to this, or our bow tie. That's our tie. This would be a bow tie. I'm going to use YG07, another one of my favorite colors, on this. On the accessory set, when I very first did it, I just pulled out a lot of my favorite colors and started going to town with them. If you want to change the hat to match some other outfit, you can do that as well. You just recolor them instead of copy. I'm just going to fill this in. And I do believe I'm going to do this little hat. I'm going to let that one soak in a bit. I'm going to come back and do this hat because it's really cute. You should really go out and check out all the accessory sets. We have them for everything. And we are adding more and more and more all the time. Now I'm going to come back with this one right here, and I'm just going to use my same marker as a shader. There we go. Let's get a little bit darker there. Let's add some dots in this hat. I think we'll add a little rim in green on this guy. And I'm going to come back, and we're going to pretend that the light's coming from here, right? And so I'm just going to give it a little more shading on that side. And we are good. Now let's move on to this tie and this hat. So again, I picked a couple of my favorites. BG49 we're going to use, but we're going to start with BG34. And let's do his full tie that way. And I'm going to do the hats. All of it. Even the little top button. I'm going to go over it again, just to make sure that it's nice and covered well. Now I'm going to use the same marker on my tie, just on the bottom. And I'm just going to come up and a little bit right there to do my shading on my tie. For the hats, I am going to come in with my BG49. And I am going to just go along the edges where the stitching might be. And then along the back. I'm going to give that a shade up. And so it's not going to be a two-toned hat. It's just going to be a hat with some shading. And there's going to be some in the back. And this little thing right there. And I'm going to come back with my original BG34, and then I'm going to blend it. And we have a hat with shadows. Now I do have one little baby mark. You guys see that? You probably can't see it, but I can, and it drives me nuts. So I am just going to push it in and just pretend it's not there, and push it right back into the hat where it belongs. Right? I love how that happens. Now these have dies, of course, so you can use the dies and cut them out and it wouldn't be any big deal. Now let's go for the gray. We want the glass to look like glass, but not be glass. So we are going to use our C1. And I'm just going to go over it just a little bit. It's kind of like it's got a tint. Just a tint. Same with these. Now you don't have to color those in. I'm going to put this up here. I like to keep my shades together. It's kind of weird. But I do. So this is C1. Now all we have left to do are the spots here in this little hat. We are going to go back to our original E30. And we are going to give this some color. If you notice, I really saturate my images when I color them. And you can see that on the back. It's okay to look like that. Even some of them go through, and that's just fine. Now I am going to grab, let's see, my green. Let's grab the yellow first because it's a little easier. I'm going to grab my bright yellow. And I'm going to do the inside of that little strip with my Y38s. And then I'm going to take my fun green and go along there. And the last thing I'm going to do on this hat is grab my E31. If I can find it. There we go. And just do some shading on the outside of the hat. Tucker the dog looks just hilarious in this little hat and his little sombrero. And the little divot there, maybe a little back behind. I'm going to use it again. Give me a little second round of shading here. Now let's just fill in these little dots with, we can use one of our teal colors. And we can use, let's see, BG93. That's a great color. It was the first one I grabbed. And there you have it. That's as easy as this set is to do. Very simple. But wait, we're not done yet. I'm going to show you the wonders of a jelly roll pen. These are magnificent. They add highlights to everything. So my jelly roll pen, I'm going to come along here and just add some whites just in a line where the light's going to be, and it makes it even brighter. I'm going to add a little right here. Sometimes I just add a few dots after it too, just to help it kind of blend out. And add a little there. We can add some right here on this cap. We can add a little there and a little there. And we can add some on the little circles. And we can even add some white on our little party hats and on this little guy right here. Maybe a little along this line too. And that is it. You can get these on our website as well at RileyandCompanyOnline.com. This has been our Dress Up accessories, our very first sets, RCLR02. And I hope you enjoyed the video and you learned some tips and tricks. And you can go out to RileyandCompanyOnline.com and see all the rest of our adorable animals and all the rest of our sets in our Dress Up series. Have a fabulous day and thank you so much for joining me.